Hi guys, today I'm going to discuss about how to use macro inside C++. Now, macro is a way of defining our class and its header. What is you have heard or things about we can save file in two ways in C++, in .h extension and .cpp extension. And what is .h extension and what is .cpp extension? Now I want to say you. Now you want to see me. I have written a code inside my code block. It just signifies that this bang statement underscore h. What it does, it just gives me an idea. It just gives an idea to compiler that if that much of header file, if this is the this dot x is used to define a library. Suppose if you want to create a library which you want to use throughout the course, throughout the project, then we have to create a some library which is can be imported in our next code, in our upcoming code, and can be used through our project. So I want to create a library. Dot h extension signifies that the file which you create having a dot extension can be used as a library for the upcoming project. Now, what I want to do, how can I create a dot? How can I create a library in C++? It's a quite a good way of uh, writing a software in design pattern. That's a dot h and dot c plus gives me a power to write a utility class and to write a model class and to write a service class. It's a way of writing all the classes in a library form so that we could use as a library in another code, in another section of the code. That's a useful thing we can use as a library. So suppose we have to create a some library that in that account that just takes a user account number and its balance, nothing else. It doesn't do any more, doesn't do more than this thing. Just takes the account number of the user and its balance. It just take the balance and it will give the balance. This is the library which we created, and you can see that, you can see this thing. Now today lectures we want to today tutorial we want to discuss about how to use macro functions to create a header file, what it signifies. Now I want to create a new file. I have to I will create two videos to define. I will create two videos to discuss about the whole scenario of macro function and how could you use to create a library function library for our compiler. Now first I want to create a new file. Control shift plus n, control shift plus n. Now create a new file and save it this name as I'm going to giving a name. Just suppose it's supposed to be header dot h. Okay, user header dot h. Okay, it sounds good. Now what I want to define has if not defined, as if not, okay, not defined. What it does, compiler reads the line of macro if user header underscore h, if user underscore h is not defined in any sort of library, then what compiler gonna do, it just create a user header library so that we could use in our another code and another section of code. So how gonna create library? So first compiler read this macro, this you just you will clear at the end of this video. This is if not defined. Just you can read this if not defined and and states for no, not no. If not defined, if not defined, it's compares this keywords, macro keywords, and check this header file, check this check this string value, that if compiler finds this kind of header file, then it will not execute the program after hash define. If compiler does not find any kind of user header underscore h, then compiler will go on to execute the next line below this line. And what this line does, it just create a class has defined user header underscore h. It just created a header whose name is user header underscore h. Now I'm going to create a class you which name I going to give user header. Okay, it just it's quite easy to understand. Now what I'm going to do, I just create a simple class int name, okay, int value int a comma b. Okay, okay, I just scrub it. Now I'm going to use int a comma b. Okay, now what I'm going to do is a private section. I have to define a section, private section, forget. Okay, now I create two variables in private section. I will create a public section. Okay, I create a user header. It is a constructor. Okay, now it's a header file. Now I'm not going to it's define the function. It's just a naming of the function. The declaration of the function will be defined in .c file. I'm again going to repeat it. Whatever the member functions we're going to write right now in the .h file, in .h extension, we just define the function name. Its declaration will be declared in .cpp file. As a conventional rule, what C++ gives us, that's the in .h extension we just create a function name and its memorial. Whatever the declaration of the variable and whatever the declaration of the functions will be declared in .cpp file. Now in that .h file we just create a interface. It's just create interface which can be used with client. Client only know the name of the function. It doesn't know anything about the basic behind the business logic. So it just acts as an interface for the clients, which is they have given a list of bunch of functions as they're going to use according to their parameters, and they are expecting some results, but they don't know about the exact business logic behind these functions, because this makes more stiff and more solid, makes solid in the code, that your business logic is some kind of isolated from the main a bunch of code, that's your business logic is just behind this user was not able to see this kind of code. Just he know about the uses of function. He can use this function, but he doesn't know how these functions is going on. Okay, that's the benefit of using making a library in the if you're going to develop a good software, then the way of writing a program is, and this is the way of writing a program is quite necessary, because you have to protect your, you have to make isolate and make private your business logic behind from the client side. Okay, now this is the way we can create a interface to client side, just acts as an interface. We know when we want to use this section .h file in another code, we just use this .h extension file, so that we use this, we know only the functions, we don't know about the business logic behind this function. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I just create a header file. I just create a member functions. It's a constructor. I just create a constructor for user header. Now what I'm going to do, I create a into get sum. Okay, what it does, it gives me the sum of its member variables a comma b. Okay, now we have done. Okay, after that next file. Okay, what I'm going to do, I just create again I am going to same thing. if okay, first I want to save this file. I want to save this file user header dot cpp. Okay, now what I want to do, if not define user